Hello, YouTube. It's not Saturday, but you're seeing this, I believe, on a Saturday. We're doing extra videos because we're getting a lot more questions these days, and it was not my intent to do Saturday and Sunday videos. But I do things like housekeeping and public interest stories on the weekends because I still want to do those, but I just have so many questions that I have to answer questions Monday through Friday now. Probably I could just be answering questions. I could do like 5 questions a day every single day and still be behind. So it is what it is to some extent. We are stealing a segment from an economics podcast called Words and Numbers. I think it's Foolishness of the Week is their segment. Highly recommend that podcast, by the way. Now, this is special, and listen, it's a story in the New York Post. And the New York Post is, they love conservative topics, so I shy away from it a little bit. But they also report on things that maybe the mainstream media, the liberal media, might not report on sometimes. So occasionally you have to dip into the New York Post. Certainly they've done right by many of my clients, and I respect that. Now, there is a Minneapolis, Minnesota school district that has negotiated itself a union contract with the union in which their teachers of color will no longer be subject to layoffs based on seniority, right? So many unions, many collective bargaining agreements will include a provision that is last in, first out for layoffs. So if you're the most recently hired, if you don't have very much seniority, it becomes much more likely that if there's a large layoff, you'll be terminated. And more senior teachers will be retained and safe from the layoff. This is very common, especially with teachers, because you don't usually see layoffs as much in fire departments or police or sanitation, right? Generally, large-scale layoffs are something that we, in all of our wisdom as a society, save for like educators. So that's how it usually works in most collective bargaining agreements for teachers. What this union has negotiated for, and I'll read it specifically. Teachers of color may be exempted from district-wide layoffs outside seniority order. So what they're doing is choosing who is laid off based on race, which I understand what they were going for. They were trying to even the playing field, retain diversity in their workplace. And those are good things. Those are good motivations, right? But what they did was they wrote a law that says we're going to favor you for termination if you're Caucasian. And that's not legal. And everybody knew that. That does not live up to the federal laws. I doubt it lives up even to the local laws in Minnesota, although I don't know that for a fact. But if you're purely making the decision to terminate someone because of their race, because of the color of their skin, you are failing your duties under the federal law. And each and every one of those Caucasian people, if they're terminated, will just then have claims against both their employer and their union. And against their union, they're going to have discrimination claims, racial discrimination claims against their employer, because they're going to say, hey, you fired me because of my race. And the employer's going to say, oh, no. And you're going to say, really? Because there's a collective bargaining agreement that says that. And I have seniority, and I shouldn't have been laid off, and you laid me off. And then they're going to win that case 100% of the time, in my opinion. And they're going to get significant money for winning that case. But against the union, this is even weirder if you think about it, because they have that same discrimination case. Hey, you specifically cut a deal to hurt me on the basis of race. But on top of that, they have a failure to represent case because that union, who's supposed to represent all of its constituents, all of its members, created a deal, negotiated for a deal, specifically, that harms many of its members. It's even worse that it's on the basis of race, but it's pretty bad that they were like, hey, we don't like this group of members as much as that group of members, so like, we're going to dissolve seniority rights when it comes to layoffs for this group that we don't like as much. But you owe them all the same duty of loyalty. They're all union members. You just felt like having a little dance with the NLRB? I don't, like, I get what you're trying to do. I get there was good motivations. Diversity is important. Inclusion is important. What you did is illegal. And you're going to write many checks because you're so stupid. There are ways to promote diversity that don't include firing on the basis of race.